Alright, CNT120, Chapter 4 Lab. We're on Part 3 with DNS and looking at the UDP header. So we're going to go to our packet sniffer again. We're going to edit the filters. We want to make sure we see DNS and then UDP. Okay, so on our packet sniffer, we'll go to our edit filters. We want to send DNS, and we want to see, we're going to go over to the miscellaneous tab. We want to see UDP. Way down at the bottom. There we go. Again, we're going to clear our capture so we don't have anything else. Again, for me, I'm just going to close this so it's not cluttering up our screen. Now that I've done that, on my laptop, I'm going to open a web page. And what that's going to do is going to generate traffic here to the web server. But before it can load the web page, it has to resolve that name into an IP address. So it's going to need to talk to the DNS server. Well, when I load a web page, that is going to be a reliable connection that is going to use TCP. But the DNS before that needs to be a quick kind of request and response. So the DNS that's going to go over to this server and back is going to be UDP. It's going to be a quick, do you have the IP? Boom, here it is. So we're going to load the web page, but we're really going to be interested in the communication that happens to the DNS server first, not so much about loading the web page. So on my laptop here, I'm going to open up the browser that's in here, and I'm going to try to open the web page that I have, www.cnt.org. So we'll do www.cnt.org, and we're going to let that load. And I might need to request it a couple times so it shows up. Not a big deal. But here is the web server for Chapter 4 Lab. Yay! Okay. I'm going to close that. I should now have the traffic I need. So I'm going to go back to my sniffer. I'm going to look at the DNS packet. I'm going to look at the first DNS packet that's here. So in my sniffer, sure enough, there it is. I'm looking at the DNS. I didn't want to see anything else. That's why I just filtered and I just want to see DNS. So there is my DNS to the server, if you will. And boom, here's the address for you. So I only have one, and that's all I really need to see. I think in here I say locate the first one, and that's fine. If you only get one, that's fine. If you get more than one, just look at one of them. That's okay. All right. So I'm going to highlight that guy. Here's my Ethernet header that we've looked at before: preamble, starter frame, delimiter, destination address, source address, etc. Here's my IP header. We're going to get to that in a little bit. Scrolling down here, I see the DNS information, but I'm really focusing now on this UDP. This UDP, that's the header we want to see. There's only a couple header fields. And as I look, the source port, destination port. The source port 1025, that is coming from my browser. Now, packet trace is using low port numbers. In real life, this might be up in the 16,000 range, if you will. Could be really high port numbers. But this is coming from my browser, and it's basically a dynamic port. So if I do this again, it might show up 1026. I do it again, it might be 1027. If I have multiple tabs open, these might be different numbers: 1027, 1028, 1029 for the different tabs. So this is dynamic. It's coming from my browser. But the destination is the important part. Destination port number 53. 53 is the port number for DNS. So that, because we are talking to the DNS server, that port number 53 is for the DNS service running on that server. Because that server might have multiple services running. So as this traffic comes in, anything with port 53 is going to send it to the DNS service running on that server. So that is the really significant part here, what we're looking at. So here I have my source port, destination port in this UDP header, and you see there's very little header fields. This is kind of like sending a postcard. I have just enough information to get it there, and just enough information saying, hey, I'm having a great trip, I miss you, I'll see you soon, kind of thing. Just enough information. That's what we want to capture in this part of the lab. Okay, we've looked at the Ethernet header before. We've now looked at UDP. We're going to come back and look at TCP in a little bit, and then we're going to start looking at IP header. Okay, so looking at UDP here now, I'm going to capture the source port here. I'll go to my text file. This, I believe, is our part 3, and we have our UDP header. And there's my source port 1025. And I'm going to grab the destination port over here, 53. So I'm going to copy that. Destination port 53. There we go. And there is our, looking at our UDP header, looking at our UDP traffic. So I'm going to save that. And then I can move on to part 4.